are live. All right. Welcome everyone to another episode of QuaranCon Cubed. That's QuaranCon continuing content, the extension of QuaranCon that goes year round. And we're here today. I'm so delightfully pleased to be here with this author person, RJ Barker, whatever, but more importantly, JR Barker.
Yeah, JR here.
JR, the Muppet. And and so yeah, we are here to mute this thing. Okay. We're here to talk to RJ and JR and have a bit of a chat. If you've been watching QuaranCon Cubed for a while, you may be wondering, Virginia, why are you interviewing RJ Barker for a third time? And the answer is we're not. We're here to talk to JR. But of course, RJ is needed to interpret for JR, so that's his only role today. There we go. Ah, lovely. Look at that. Look at the hair. Look at the eyes. Look at the face. Look at everything Muppety. JR, it's lovely to meet you. Very good. I understand that RJ will be speaking for you, vocalizing for you. Is that all right?
Yeah, he doesn't really do the public very much. He tries to avoid them. He's a serious writer. Is JR. He's working on his great American novel, which is
great American novel from the UK.
I think he's actually American.
Oh, that makes sense. Sure.
I believe he came from America, so
there you go.
So he can write a great American novel.
Brilliant.
Mm.
So JR, would you mind telling me, obviously via RJ, how you came to live with RJ?
Yeah, he was forced. He was caught, shoved in a box.
Oh no!
and sent over here
by
against his will. I think by plane. He came by plane, and he was much delayed. He was stuck in a box for a lot longer than he should have been because of COVID.
Oh dear.
He's a don't look at me like that. don't.
I'm 2/3 of the way through Call of the Bone Ships right now, so you're eliciting a certain certain imagery.
Yeah, he just said it's rubbish. He said read something proper.
I will not. I'm sorry, JR, but I am too fond of all of RJ's books. And look, I'm plowing through. I put off starting it because I was I knew it was going to be emotionally
happy,
evocative. Oh yeah, happy and fuzzy puppies. Yes.
Yeah, and it's long as well. Each of my books gets longer.
Long is great. I'm fine with long, especially long with your writing. I'm very into. But I just well, that's fair.
When I started the new thing, I was like 120,000 words. That is the absolute maximum. I'm not going to have a nice, short, quick book that I can write, and that'd be brilliant. Anyway, it's 190 at the moment. It's just awful. Just what a thing to do to myself.
Well, yeah. I mean, the story is as long as it needs to be, but I'm excited. I'm excited about the new things. I was going to wait though to ask you about them after we talk to JR a little more first, if that's all right.
Okay. He's ready.
JR, what keeps you busy as a Muppet in RJ's house?
Nothing. It's intellectually unstimulating.
So it's all great American novel all the time.
Yeah, we're not idiots. That's rude. We're not idiots, and
it's getting a little lippy there.
He's troublesome, and if he's bad, he gets stuck on this.
Oh, yeah. And just trapped there, has to hang out.
It's actually a toilet roll holder. And that's what they tell you. You get like in the packet, say, oh, buy a toilet. That's the best thing for keeping your Muppet on. So, okay, maybe I am your Muppet. I don't know. It's confusing, to be honest with you. It's very strange. I do know one thing: if you have a Muppet of yourself and you go away for a night to do a work thing, don't leave it in your bed, because it makes your wife very angry.
And you learned it the hard way, I take it.
Yeah, and she tells you that's how you end up being divorced.
I can see why it would be problematic.
No, he thinks she can do better, but she probably can. But he came because I mentioned to my agent a long time ago.
Yes.
He always said, "What would you, if you could have anything, what would you have?" And I'd said a Muppet of myself. That has always been my dream, because I am quite a Muppety person anyway. It's not unfair to say that. It's been pointed out from a lot of my friends. It's like a real living Muppet. It's all excited. And when I signed a contract for the new book, maybe even it might actually the end of the Bone Ships, when I handed in the last one, I think Ed started conspiring with my wife and getting pictures sent between them. And then they went to, it's not actually Muppet Studios, it's people that were Muppet Studios people.
Okay, yeah.
And they made him, and he's me. He's got my logo as his t-shirt. Yeah, and he's got his nose pierced, like I've got my nose pierced.
Yeah, really?
The attention.
I can see his. I can't see yours.
Yeah, mine's tiny. I've got a tiny little stud in, haven't I?
Nice.
No, I'm not a coward. Sometimes I wear a big one. Yeah. But and his leather jacket. I always wear a leather jacket.
Nice.
He's even got boots.
Oh my gosh, brilliant.
And they're real boots. You can take them off, and he's got feet underneath.
Amazing.
And his hands are fully posable, aren't they, JR?
Oh yeah.
I'm fully posable, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I am.
I'm expecting you to retort, your mom's fully posable.
Yeah. His mum was at a block of foam.
Oh,
he didn't like that.
Okay.
It's true. And I've not quite got the hang of the Muppet sticks there.
There you go. Oh yeah, let him.
But we both have that mannerism though. Yeah. I think he's probably a bit more glamorous than I am.
He does. He's quite glam. His hair is very shiny. What is his hair?
It is. I don't know. It feels like I think it's like acrylic extension hair. Extensions in. I think it's that stuff.
Nice.
You can't brush it though.
No.
Because then he'd be like,
oh yeah.
Just like I go if I brush mine, just like huge. And he has to wear a hairnet when he doesn't like talking about that. But he does. He always wears a hairnet. If you think I love him. I've never been so happy as when he came. It's just like, oh my God, this thing that I've dreamed of all my life. It's just
what's hilarious is that we've never met in person, and I've only spoken with you maybe a half dozen times over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw that you had gotten a Muppet of yourself, I was like, that is the quintessential, like most perfect RJ thing I could picture. And I'd never heard you specifically say it before, but I was just like, of course RJ wanted a Muppet of himself.
Yeah.
That makes absolute sense. Which is
and now I kind of want the whole family done. I'm not sure my other half would be up for it. I think she tried it really, really quick. My son though, he'd be like, yeah.
Would he be into it?
Yeah. He's already tried to take this with him to school. We're kind of maybe not. Maybe later on.
Yeah. That's it would require a fair bit of care, I think, to take.
I haven't quite worked out. I keep intending to do a TikTok with him.
Oh, good idea. Yeah.
Set him up his own TikTok. No, it's not. It's not for idiots. He's very, very judgmental. he's quite unpleasant. But he looks good. So obviously,
so there's that. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
It obviously went straight to his head.
Yeah, but I keep sort of thinking I might do a TikTok of him being a really serious writer, because you are, aren't you? Yeah,
Very,
he's not
very
like
serious.
not like a genre writer. He's quite sniffy about it. He's quite rude.
Literary fiction only.
Yeah. I might put him back on his stick because my hand's starting to hurt.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. JR, take a break. I'll talk to RJ for a minute. You have to rest.
I did find out that you can't wear big rings and be a Muppeteer.
Fair enough. Does it cause a blister, or just not?
No, it doesn't fit.
It just doesn't fit. Okay.
No.
So a reduction in jewelry size.
Yeah, because I was wearing that.
Oh, lovely. Oh, that's a nice piece.
It's
Cool.
it's a piece of meteorite in there, and these two bits. It was in a different ring, but it kept catching in my hair, so I got a jeweler friend to reset it.
Oh,
and he put in these bits of what look like green glass, but they're, oh God, can I remember the name of it? Fulgurite, maybe. But anyway, it might not be. It's the glass made when a meteor hits sand.
Okay. Yeah.
And he just happened to have some because he likes stuff, so he put it in. Apparently, it's worth more than gold.
That is epic. Very cool.
Yeah. But
my wedding ring has a stone in it my version is synthetic because the original is very expensive, but it's moissanite, and that is a stone only found in meteorites.
Oh,
like
cool.
It's a space element only, like it doesn't exist on its own.
I love stuff like that. So I love the fact that's been flying around the universe.
It's crazy. But this is a synthetic version, so they figured out how to replicate it, and it's that, because I could never in a million years afford the real thing. But it's harder than diamond and more reflective. Like it's shinier. And cheap. When you get the synthetic, it's very cheap. So I was like, sweet, I'll take synthetic moissanite. That's cool. Because I absolutely am not going to pay for a real diamond. But what I wanted was sparkly, like it's just one tiny stone out of the whole thing, but it's just like, I was like, make it.
My wife's wedding ring, not her engagement ring, is like this big, massive thing that looks like triffids on her finger. It's really, really odd. And there's no diamonds in it. And when she got married, she made kind of another triffid for it on a ring, so they fit together.
Oh, neat.
And
that's cool.
And people were saying, "Oh, you didn't get a diamond for your engagement. You should have a diamond in it." And she's like, "No, I'm not interested in diamonds. Not my thing." So what she did was, she got bits of my hair and nails, and set them inside it in like plasticky stuff, resin. Set them in resin, and set them in her ring.
And now she can curse you at will.
Yeah. Or have me cloned if for any weird reason she should ever want another one. Why would anyone?
Maybe just to drive the puppet. Just a whole extra RJ just to manage JR.
Yeah.
See, this is why, if anyone's wondering why I've asked you back for a third chat, it's because we talk about things like this. And who's I don't know, I can't resist the the conversation.
No one can resist the Muppet. He had more requests for interviews than I have, which is quite upsetting, especially because he doesn't speak. He might speak in the future. I've not got a voice for it
for now.
Yeah.
How many interviews has he done?
He's done this one, and I think 2 more where he's appeared.
Yeah.
But he gets a bit full of himself, so I'd never let him stay long. I'm just like, no, get out.
Fair. He just start slagging everybody, and nobody needs that. Katie Tree, I think, said in response to your son taking JR to school, she said, "Best show and tell ever." Really would be truly epic.
If he does that, I might let him take it into school, because he's not a stupid boy. So but he'd probably have to find somewhere safe to keep it.
That would be the hard thing. He's just massive, right? Like you'd have to either carry him around all day or find, I don't know, do they do lockers in the UK?
They don't really. Yeah. I suspect a teacher would have to keep him in a cupboard, because they're not cheap.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have paid for it. I couldn't afford it, but my agents are all loaded. They're just like rolling it, man. That's what they do. They're just like, that's the only true thing. It's like, show me the money. That's absolutely real. Mate, it's just like that. You just meet him. Like you say, "Hello, Ed," and it costs you 20 quid. It's just
there you go.
it doesn't. That's a lie.
Yeah, like some poor person's going to get roped into an agent that actually does that now because you said it in jest.
No. My agent is genuinely brilliant,
Totally.
and I love him. He's one of my good friends.
And for all the folks, all the folks watching at home, please remember that your agent should never make money unless you do. There.
Yes. Your agent takes a cut of what you get. Yeah. You don't give him a cut of what you have.
Exactly. key rule for trad pub. Yeah. Please remember everyone. So which is why, I'm sure your agent was delighted to keep you pleased. No, I'm sure he did it as a friend. But I'm sure also I'm sure you're rolling in money after all your awards. Have you won any more awards since
No, I haven't. It's gone a bit quiet on the award front, which I'm quite glad of, because I find it very uncomfortable. As we talked about that before, I find the whole idea of awards quite strange, that you can, because it's so subjective. What is good art? Nobody knows. It's what you like. And if you did awards on popularity, then George Martin would win them all.
the book that everyone's heard of.
Yeah.
No, it's true. Yeah, it's but still, I think it's very well deserved, because I happen to love the Bone Ships, and so
I really enjoyed writing that book. It's really I've been writing a new thing, and all the way through it, I've been saying to my editor, I'm not sure about this. I think I'm getting it all wrong. And she pointed out to me that I said that through every book I've written so far. I've spent the entire time going, it's not very good. Yeah, it's rubbish. And Call of the Bone Ships, I hated, actually struggled all through writing it. I just thought, I've made a complete mess of this. What's going on? And then my editor sent it back to me, and there were hardly any changes. And I just thought, has she just given up? She just like,
I can't fix this.
I can't fix this.
Commas, but really, you butchered it so bad. There's nothing else we can do.
Yeah, but no, and it's done. I mean, they've done really well, which is nice, because I'm
enjoying the heck out of it. It's fabulous, and that's really hard with middle books too, because it's always hard with the middles of anything. The middle of a lone book or the middle of a trilogy or whatever. But I'm loving it. So I think you nailed it. I haven't gotten to the end yet. I'll let you know how angry I am then. But
a lot of people were quite angry when they got to the end and realized.
I'm actually really glad. The only upshot of putting it off as long as I did is that now Bone Ships Wake is already out, and I have it. And so as soon as I get to the end of book 2, I can move into book 3 and delay my anger until the end of that.
It's an absolutely complete story. Everything ties up, which I like to do. Well, I say everything ties up. There are lots of things that don't tie up because life's like that. But the main themes tie up, and well, you'll see when you get there what I did. I was very, very pleased with myself about it. But
good. I'm glad you were. And you, from everything I've heard, you deserve it. To be so pleased with yourself. It sounds like it was really well done, and
fingers crossed. People seem to enjoy each one more than the last.
Yay!
Yeah, which is quite good. There's quite a lot of people read.
Impressive.
Quite a lot of people read the first one, go, it takes a bit to get going, and it does.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I guess, you know what? We talked about this before. I think it's because of the whole hornblower buy-in and stuff, right? Like I was in from the first page because I was like, yes, Fantasy Navy, go! And I wasn't even sure of Joran as a character. I was like, I don't know what this guy's deal is, but I am sold. I was so in it. And right from the start. And so when people say it took them a while to get into it, I was like, really? Why? But but I've always wanted the Royal Navy in a fantasy setting, and the way you've done it is just absolutely brilliant. And so
I really enjoyed doing it. And I keep being tempted to go. It's a kind of thing I could go back, but I think no, I've told everything. I've said everything I want to say in it, so I'm doing something new.
I mean, you could just do a little slice of life book for somebody in there.
Short stories could be quite fun in that kind of, because there's lots of places that you've not really looked at and the stuff. But I have a real weird thing about going back, that it feels to me like saying I've run out of imagination. So I don't really want to.
That's fair.
So if I do write more novels in that world, you know that I've run out of imagination. Basically,
or that it just called you back really hard. I mean, I find, there's some places your brain is like, yeah, but can't we play here? Because it's so fun to play here. And then you go and you discover new places and new people, and it's, I don't know, sometimes it's nice.
But
I wouldn't hold it against you. Promise. I promise I won't be like, RJ, your imagination obviously gave up. What's happened?
I still get emails saying, people, I think it's really weird, people, obviously certain books strike a chord with people, because I still get emails from people saying, are you going to go back to the Wounded Kingdom at some point?
Yeah.
Will you go back and tell more stories there? And it's really weird, because I really like that world, but I'm not very unlikely to. I mean, I always had sketched out a book about Merilla before we met her.
I haven't read the Wounded Kingdom books, so but I'm sure other people watching them.
They're more fantasy in recognizable, semi-medieval,
standard.
Yeah, you can walk straight into those books in a way you can't walk straight into the Bone Ships. And the Bone Ships asks you to invest a bit. Where the Wounded
Kingdom, that was my favorite part. I was like, yes. Sorry, it's just
you'll like the next thing then, because it does a similar thing, different.
When you've teased it before, if we're talking about, what is it, Robin Hood with octopi in the woods, tentacles. I bet it sounds fabulous. I'm very excited for
it. It's Robin Hood in the same way that the Wounded Kingdom books are King Arthur, in that when I say to people the Wounded Kingdom books are a retelling of King Arthur, they go, really? And then when you point out some things, they go, well, maybe. And it's Robin Hood in the same way, in that there's forests and bows and arrows. And
maybe someone who steals from the rich to give to the poor-ish. Maybe
kind
not.
of, yeah. But you start off with like a pitch to your publisher, and then you write the book, and it turns out to be something very different. So that was the pitch, but it's
evolving.
And it messes around with the idea of the chosen one. And I love that. So that's quite fun. Yeah. And I'm not meant to say too much about it.
Okay.
But I probably will. But it's
I won't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Except all the people watching YouTube who could theoretically be anyone, although we really only have 400 subscribers. But
and it's not the I've stepped away from the male female duo to do something else. Just because I didn't want to do the same thing again. And it's sort of I'm going to stop talking about it because I'm sort of 22, 23k into the second book now. But there's lots of stuff in it that I really like, because you don't know it's there until I'll tell you later on, and I love stuff like that.
Yeah, that's good. That's always fun. What is there an estimated release for book one yet?
I think beginning of 2023. I think about that time.
Okay.
Cool. We're not 100% sure. Publishing's always moving stuff about, and there's been loads of weird stuff going on with paper.
Yes. Yes, there has.
Yeah, so lots of books have moved around and changed stuff. So who knows? It'll come out when it comes out. The longer it takes to come out, the more I have to write the other one. So I'm not really complaining. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. Plenty of time to get all the way to the end of book 3 and be like, shit, we better fix this thing in book 1. If maybe they put it off long enough. Fair enough. Well, I'm very excited for that. So that is awesome. I was going to ask actually about the completely non-fantasy, I believe, very what is it? Is it hard-boiled detective-ish?
RJ Dark.
Yes, your evil twin. I know you don't
my evil twin.
Talk about him too much.
Awful.
But I was going to ask if there was any news about, it has Has anyone in the US shown interest in making that available to USians or Canadians or anyone outside the UKians?
It's very, very unlikely they will, because it doesn't. It's unless you have a massive, massive success. Crime doesn't travel in the way fantasy does.
Right. Yeah.
And also the RJ Dow books are very English. They're kind of really English.
Yeah.
It's lovely. He gets quite a lot of email.
Yeah.
From people saying it's set on like a, I don't know, I think in America you call it a project, but here it's council estates, and quite a lot of email from people going, is this place where I grew up? And it isn't.
Right.
It's a made up one for the purposes of me, but it's hit something. I think it's not
cool.
A massive amount of readers that could come out to a tiny press, and
do you have the North American serial rights for it then still? The North American.
Yes.
So you could theoretically release it yourself in the US if you wanted.
I could in theory. I'd have to talk to my agent, because I'm an idiot when it comes to anything like that. I don't do anything. I just make Ed deals with it, and I sign stuff and occasionally get checks, and that's how it works. and when I first signed with them, I specifically said I want to be the client you choose to embezzle, because I want to be that clueless. I find it all really...
Gotcha. That makes sense. I want to have so little idea of what's going on.
Yeah.
Money from me, I would never know. That's
once a year, the publisher will sort of get in touch with you to tell you how many books you've sold, and they say, look, you're doing really well. And I kind of, I don't want to know. I don't want to know any of it. Just send me an email that says, oh, we're really happy. And I'm like, good, that is enough. I don't want to see numbers. It's all frightening. You can't realistically affect it in any way. It's just...
Right. Yeah.
Sort of, you can Orbit do a thing where you can sign in to the Hachette portal.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's working at the moment. And they give you a password.
Yeah.
And you can see in real time how your books are doing.
Oh, that's cool. There's a dashboard.
I cannot think of anything more stress-inducing in my... Why would anyone want to do that?
Hey, some of us make full-time livings having to do that. So.
How do you do it? It's a bit different if you're self-publishing, because you can affect it. You can think, right,
that's true. Yeah. In fact, you have to affect it, or else you don't.
Yeah.
No one reads your books. And that is, of course.
Yeah. In trad publishing, you can watch it and go, oh, well, I might just sit here and wish marketing would put some more money into my book. And that's it. That's as much as you can do.
Yeah. No, that's a fair point, actually, because you really not up to you to make it move. But it is interesting that you can see how it's going. I mean, I like the transparency. I was like, if it were me, having spent this many years being absolutely in control, I would want that information. But I totally understand the perspective of being like, I can't do anything about it. Why would I want to know? That's just, that's going to make me feel really bad, or, or actually at worst, I guess, and at best make me feel okay, but still can't fix it. Yeah.
When I first started writing, there was never any question in my head about I was going to aim at being traditionally published, just because I'm realistic about who I am, and I know how incredibly bad I would be at self-publishing books. It's just not me. I'd be awful at it, because once a book's out, I'm not interested anymore. I'll talk to people about it. That's lovely. But if a book's been out for like 6 months and I have to go and do marketing for it, I'm writing a new one now.
Yeah, like,
why am I interested in that? So it's lovely that they do all of that, and it's
totally yeah.
No,
and it's a lot of extra work. It's not easy work. It is like it's a piece that I'm certainly worst at out of the whole thing. And it can be a real slog. So I 100% like I don't think there's much of a divide anymore between indie and trad, save who is willing to put up with that and who isn't. I have one good friend who's just getting into publishing, and she wants to go trad and has always wanted to go trad, and she's talked to me a ton about indie pub. And she's in the same boat. She's like, I just can't do it. Like, I don't think I can handle that whole back end piece and she's like, I know how much you do, and I don't want to do that. I'm like, yeah.
Right.
I mean, there are other pieces to TradPub that are also very time consuming. But but in your case, you've got an agent who's fabulous and deals with all that stuff for you and continues to do so. But the whole road to getting an agent and everything else, a lot of is a whole other set of work, and it's basically its own job until you get there, right? So
I always kind of, this is simplifying things massively. I think that traditional publishing, all the disappointment is front loaded. In that you spend a long time being really disappointed when people keep saying no to you, I'm not interested. Where with sort of indie publishing or self-publishing, the disappointment can be afterwards, in that you do all this work yourself and then you release a book and it vanishes because there are so many books coming out. And you can't just release a book, you have to be good at all those other things. Like I see all my friends that do it, and how hard they hustle. Basically, they have to do their own cover, get your own editing, you have to do copy editing, and you have to put your money into that. And that's another reason I wouldn't try publishing, because I just didn't have any, so it wasn't an option. Never gonna happen.
Can barely afford stamps for submissions. I can't.
So there's that, and if you don't do all that and get it right, you release a book and it'll just more. People talk about word of mouth, but word of mouth it's helped a lot by marketing.
It is, yeah. It's both. Word of mouth can be the key to having a breakthrough anything, but it takes a ton of at least time investment and probably also monetary investment to get going.
It's so hard. So much respect for indie, because the RJ Dart books are indie published, and that's a completely different thing. I mean, I still have nothing to do with it.
Right.
They do it.
Yeah.
But and I see how quick and they can move really quickly and change stuff really easily, which you don't have
there's no like trying to turn the giant boat of TradPub.
No, it's on its course, and you just have to hang on.
We're all in these much more versatile little speedboats, but some of us are in boats, and it's it's not whatever.
It is the maddest thing to do, right? Well, it's probably not. There's probably madder things to do, like paragliding. That's quite mad. Oh, the base jumping. That's really mad.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'd definitely stick to right. But when I said paragliding, I meant wingsuits. That's what.
That is wingsuits are a base jumping thing, and also there's other. You can also do wingsuits from something else. I don't know. I think balloons. There are people who do wingsuits and then still have. I mean, you'll have to have the chute, right? So it's both. Anyway, that actually seems cool. I would kind of like to try that. Not base jumping, but I wouldn't mind throwing myself out of a perfectly good airplane once to see how I like it. Probably strapped to someone who's much better at it.
I know I wouldn't like it. I just feel like actually I've changed my mind about this. It's a long way down, and I love that. I like sitting on a sofa and imagining. I like imagining doing things.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I'd like to try it once, and I don't know that I would like it enough to want to do it again, but it's on the list of things I'd like to try. But I mean, I love rock climbing, right? So I know that I enjoy heights to a certain degree, but rock climbing is very different from parachuting. So
because you're clinging onto some, but I suppose you're clinging onto climbing if you're parachuting, because I would be
clinging onto the person you're attached to. It's a lot about trusting the gear, and that's I think why I think I'd be okay with parachuting once, because I have more, after rock climbing for decades, I have more trust for equipment that's made to save your life than a lot of people might, because I have had, my rope be the one thing that's keeping me off the ground many times. And that's, so, but that takes practice to become comfortable with, I think.
I was taking abseiling once as part of it's one of those courses that send you on when you're terminally unemployed in the UK. And part of it was a trust exercise where you learn to abseil, which I just point blank refused to do. I don't trust these people. I'm not doing it. I'm not hanging off a rope for anybody when I can walk around. I'm not silly.
That is very practical and very normal human response, I think.
There was a dog, And the choice was I could abseil down the cliff face with somebody I didn't know holding the rope, or I could play with a dog.
Oh, yeah.
And that's quite a simple choice for
There
me.
you go.
I went and played with the dog. It was a border collie.
Is that even a choice, really? I mean, if there's a dog.
No, you have to play with a dog.
Well, yeah, I mean, some of us I think would be very excited to read those books in the US, but yeah.
I'll ask my agent, because I don't know how it works, because Where's Back have done also all the work on because the next one comes out at the end of March. My wife has no interest in my fantasy at all. She's just like, not my thing, but she reads these and she loves them.
Ooh.
She really loves them.
Oh, that's got to be so nice to have a project that she's super into.
Yeah, she read another thing that I wrote, and then she said, "What about the ones that's not come out?" So I'm messing about with it. And then she read the first Mal and Jackie book and just loved it. And then she read the second one, she just loved it more. And people don't know what they're about, do they? I should explain. It's they're not detectives, well, they are detectives. He's a pretend medium. That he's a con man. People come to him, and he has a person in the back who's Googling them and feeding it to him on an earpiece.
Nice.
But he does a lot of research, and he thinks of himself as an alternative bereavement counsellor.
Fair.
And he has a friend called Jackie Singh Khattar, who's a gangster, basically, a borderline sociopath. But Mal, the main character, he wants to do the right thing, but he's quite scared of violent people. And Jackie doesn't really know how to do the right thing, but he is a very violent person, and he enjoys that. He's like, yeah, let's go get in a fight. And they're this really dysfunctional friendship, in that Mal is Jackie's conscience,
right?
And Jackie looks after Mal,
right?
And they kind of they go out and then get themselves into increasing amounts of trouble, trying desperately to do the right thing.
That's
it's
cool.
kind of like the touchstones we use for it, Hap and Leonard. If you've read Joe Lansdale's Hap and Leonard books,
I haven't.
They're brilliant, and it's not at all like that, but it kind of is.
Okay.
In that Hap and Leonard are very working class,
okay.
And they're not actually trying to solve a mystery. They're trying not to get killed mostly.
Okay.
And it's very similar, but it's set in Britain, and it's very set in the parts of Britain you don't usually see on TV. It's the council estates and the rougher areas, and around the people that you don't usually see, which is where I grew up. Just rough, and it's humorous and funny, as well as being really grim and violent, but and with a slight supernatural angle.
Okay, all right.
But yeah,
excellent. Those sound really great. I would enjoy reading them, I think, as would probably quite a few people in, I'm going to say, North America.
I'll send you an ebook.
Oh, well, that's very kind of you. Thank you. But I'm also thinking of all the extra money you could make if your agent could set it up so that you can sell them in the US. But I will happily read a copy if you send it to me. But
yeah, they're fun. And the first one's called A Numbers Game. The second, if you're in the UK, and I think weirdly Australia seem to be able to buy them. I don't know how. The rights are weird. I don't understand.
No, I'm honestly, like, outside of the US, I'm not sure how most of those rights work. So
yeah, I'm really lucky that I'm with Orbit, because Orbit are based in the UK and the US.
Right.
So they do my books in both territories.
Right.
Which means I don't have to fill out American tax forms.
Yay!
Because I've seen them and they're terrifying.
They are.
Some of my friends go, I'm doing the American tax things. And they're like, no, you're reading a book.
Yeah, it's awful.
No,
I live in Canada, but because the US has absolutely horrible tax law currently, I have to file in both countries, and it is extra annoying. Not that, like, I don't make enough money to actually even owe them anything, but I still have to file so that they know that. And then anyway,
so
it's the whole thing's ridiculous.
I have an accountant, and that's great, and he does magical things.
An excellent
where I never end up owing as much money as I think I should.
Ooh,
I, and I always go back to him, go, "Are you sure this is right?" And he goes, "Yes, you missed off this and you missed off this." And I was, "Oh, okay."
Excellent. Trust the accountant.
That's quite good.
That is lovely. Let's see. Okay, you have 20 minutes before you have to go. I'm amazed though that we've been keeping fairly on. I mean, I had a bunch of silly questions for JR. I have another silly question for JR actually, which is did JR and Bertie get along?
Which Birdie?
Is it Bertie? The cat.
Bertie. Oh, Bertie. Bertie it's like you can't see him.
Huh.
He's quite odd, is Bertie, in that he has his interests.
Yeah.
He's very specific interests, like food. He has a box down here, a cardboard box that he really likes. We put a towel in it, and that's just where he wants to be all the time.
Awesome.
And he won't used to come and sleep on our bed. No, the box now. And his other great love is feet. If you don't wear your shoes, he'll have you. It's absolutely vicious. He just suddenly be walking along. But yeah, this rubber bands. That's his other thing. Got to be very careful to remove rubber bands because they're not good for them. But he loves them. Hair ties.
Oh, jeez.
Hair ties and rubber bands. You'll just see him going mental, and it's because he's found one. He's just, But yeah, and the taxidermy is just not interested in it at all. Or JR. So yeah, feet, cardboard boxes, usual cat stuff.
Yeah. And how does JR feel about Bertie?
Oh, he's so above cats. He's just like,
wait a minute, a writer who's above cats?
Confused. Well, he's a serious writer. He only thinks about writing. That's it. He just thinks about writing. He's actually, he's been here nearly 6 months now, and he's still contemplating the first word of the first sentence of his book.
Yes.
He's tried.
He's one of those.
yeah. And I've said to him, look, don't edit as you go along.
Right.
It's lethal. Just write it. And he just stares at me. Doesn't say a word. Just looks at me.
It's got to
be right. It's going to be right.
Just going to pick the perfect first word.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I bet you should see if he's interested in having a raven.
I'd love a raven. I've been trying to convince, because there are actual. We get them. The rooks.
Yeah.
All roost around our house because there's trees all around it. Which makes it sound like I live in a forest. I don't. We live on a main road, but there's like a little wood across there, and there's trees down that way. And every year when it's sort of raven child season, I go walking around in case there's just one fall out of its nest. Aww. And I know I can't, even if one's fallen out of its nest, I can't. I know you can't, because they do, and their parents come and look after them.
Yeah.
But I can imagine that one day I'll find that'll be my pet. We did look into actually rehoming one, because there are places where injured ones come
rescue.
Yeah. And I found out that what happens is they imprint on one person, and they will love that person. They're great, but they can be quite jealous of anybody else and quite vicious. And part of me is like, well, I don't want my son and my wife having their eyes pecked out. And another part of me was, what if it didn't pick me? How upset would I be if it didn't pick me? And it's like, no.
You just have a raven that didn't quite like you.
And they live for 40 years.
They do, I was going to say for them.
Yeah, indoors. But I'd probably like a crow, I think. Ravens are a bit big.
Ravens are quite large, yeah.
I went actually flying birds of prey quite recently.
Oh, cool.
It was a birthday present for last year.
Oh, neat.
And I got to fly, and they had a raven called Misty that they brought out to meet us, just because my little boy likes. And so she didn't usually come out. She's quite snippy, but they brought her out, and she was really well behaved. She's huge. Huge. You don't realize how big they are. And he told me, he said, if you see a crow and it's with a load of other crows, it's a rook. If you see a crow and you think, well, that's quite big, is it a raven? It's a crow. And if you see a bird and think, Jesus, that's massive, it's a raven. And that's how you tell the difference.
There you go. The ravens that we have nearby, I sometimes mistake for bald eagles, because until they get closer, I'm just like, whoa, that's a huge bird. Is it a bald eagle? Because we have a lot of bald eagles here.
Yeah.
And then it gets closer, and I'm like, oh no, it's not brown, and it doesn't have the white head, which is very distinctive. And of course, and the tail shape is different and stuff. So once they get closer, I'm like, oh nope, raven. But I do often go like, oh, that's a big crow. Is that a raven? And it's like, no, that's still just a crow. Crows.
We have red kites here, which were
cool.
reintroduced about 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Yeah. And now they're everywhere. And there's one that lives somewhere around here, and he's often just hovers above the house, just doing circles. Cool. Yeah. And it doesn't matter how often they come out. I still run outside the house. There's a red kite. My little boy's just like, yeah. There all the time. Oh, they're just normal to him. But to me, they're like, right. Massive birds. Yeah. You didn't used to get massive birds.
Yeah. No, it's so cool. I was astounded when we moved here, because we're near, like, so Winnipeg is at the fork of two rivers, and we live very close to the river, and so there's just bald eagles here like crazy, because they fish along the river and stuff. And so the idea that, like, I can from my house, or just if I like walk to the woods that are just at the end of our block, go and see more than one bald eagle at the right time of year when they're like active and out and fishing and stuff is like kind of crazy to me, because bald eagles are such a huge deal in the US. You know, like the bird, the official country bird and everything, but you don't see them very often except in a few states, right? Because they like the sort of the more the northern. Actually, I don't even know if it's a northern thing. I'm not sure what their range is, but they're less common in every state I've lived in than they are in Manitoba. And I've lived in 7 different states in the US. So yeah, but Manitoba, they're just all over the place. It's like, you might as well be seagulls.
We've got a pair of magpies that live in the garden.
Oh, yeah.
Bertie will try and get them. He'll climb up the trees if they're in. And there must be some sort of COVID communication, because if that happens, a load of rooks appear and they'll hound him out the trees.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really odd. Yeah. And he doesn't like it at all.
Well, he wouldn't.
Yeah, and it's like, well, that will teach you, little cat.
Yeah.
So I don't care.
Interesting. I'm just yelling at him. Stop that. That's so. I'm surprised that the rooks care about the magpies. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but he's actually a bit of a coward, because he nearly caught a squirrel. He's been trying to catch a squirrel ever since we've had him. That's 5 years now, and he nearly caught a squirrel, and then kind of got near enough to realize that actually that's quite big, and he just stopped, and the squirrel was like, "What?" And he was like, "Nothing. Oh, washing my tail." Just
came here for the view.
Yeah, I could eat you if I wanted.
Yeah. I'll eat you later.
Now squirrels are massive. They're just like round balls. Huge.
Oh, that's funny. The cat I had as a child got into a fight with a ground squirrel once, and ground squirrels are much bigger than squirrels, right? Because they're like, you know,
they don't have to climb.
They don't have to climb. They dig holes, and they're large. They're like, and I think technically she won. We didn't see the ground squirrel again, but she did not come out of that fight okay. We had her on antibiotics for ages. Is the most cut up she's ever been. I'm not sure why she decided to tangle with it. I don't know if it was just on principle. She was like, "Get off my lawn," or she was a really accomplished hunter. That cat, she killed everything, like all kinds of rodents and birds, and she could just stalk anything, and lizards, snakes. Like that cat could kill anything. But we don't
really get lizards here. I'm always a bit disappointed, because I like lizards.
Yeah, lizards are cool.
They're not. Very rarely we see lizards.
We lived in a few places where she had access to lizards, and she didn't kill them nearly as often as she killed other things. I don't know if they were harder to catch or not as tasty or what, but anyway.
We have a stray that lives in the garden now that came that caused much stress.
I remember seeing photos of the stray on the other side.
But he's been my neighbours managed to tame him and catch him and took him to be neutered, so he's a bit less stressy now. He's a bit more chilled.
More mellow.
Yeah, but he's really sweet. He lives in this. My neighbours are just the most lovely people. They made him like a covered box, and then they covered it all in plastic to keep him dry inside. And I think it's taken about 6 months, and now she's the only person this cat will go near. And he clearly loves her, and he's a feral stray. But no, I've got time for her. It's like really sweet. She always says, "I do not like cats. Don't like cats. Don't like cats."
Just this one cat.
Yeah, no, and the other one that she adopted and lives in a house. That she carries around like a little baby.
Oh, yeah, but still hates cats. Well, fair enough. Well, I'm glad Birdie's doing all right, and I'm glad that JR and Birdie ignore each other. Mutual lack of acknowledgement.
Bertie is still awful, but we love him.
Oh,
he's very pretty. Like, he does come on walks with us.
Yeah.
There's a shop near us across the road, and if we go to the shop, we have to make sure Bertie's locked inside, because he'll follow us and cross the road with it's a really busy road. He won't go near it otherwise, but if we cross over, he'll be like, "All right, safe for me." No, it's not, idiot. So we have to lock it inside. But if when I walk the boy to school, that's a not road thing. He'll come with me. There's the whole sort of block.
That's nice.
It's like, and people just know him now. So take your cat for a walk. Yeah.
That's lovely. I'm glad he gets to stretch his legs.
Yeah.
Well, we've only got 8 minutes left. What else is new? I feel like we kind of covered everything. I was going to ask him for a taxidermy tour, but it sounded like when we were speaking at the start, there's not really camera mobility, and most of the taxidermy is moved recently. Or
it's packed away. We've got a new thing, and I can't remember the name of it. It's a hissing deer. They have like little vampire teeth. I can't remember. And there's a proper name for it, and I know it, but my mind is just gone. I was saying earlier how incredibly tired I am, but I think everybody's tired at the moment. I don't know why I'm so tired. It's
I've been exhausted.
And I do have to get up and walk a child. I don't even have to. He's old enough to walk himself, but I make myself drop him off, and then I know where is exactly 500 meters from my house. So I walk up to there and back. So I do a kilometer of walking every day because I'm really lazy. What are they called? Hissing deer in my head. But then I
think I know what you're talking about, and now I want to look it up. But I probably shouldn't, because I'm technically interviewing you. Hissing deer.
Yeah, but other people want to know. Anyone who watches this will be like, can't walk. We're not telling.
I'm just getting a bunch of pictures of deer that hiss. But you're talking, so there's a deer with teeth?
Yeah, that's it.
No, with deer with fangs.
Yeah.
The Walter deer? The Walter deer. No, water deer. Water deer.
Water deer, that might be it.
Water deer. Let's see if they have other things. Chinese water deer, Korean water deer.
But I thought it had
Hotteneye?
I thought it had another name.
Also called the vampire deer. Yeah. It definitely looks like what you're describing. It has massive fangs. Yeah,
but they don't actually eat people. Just water deer.
Water deer.
Oh well, obviously I made up a different name for it that I've been calling ours, and now I've forgotten it. So who knows what it was? I'm
sure it might come back to you at any moment. Feel free to message me at 3 a.m.
Yeah. Oh, one of my friends will tell me, "Oh, remember what you thought that deer was called?" Trevor. And I was like, "Oh, no, I didn't."
No, it wasn't me. It was JR. JR kept saying it.
I'll tell you what I have got is fantastic. I go on about this endlessly. So I've got a new notebook.
Let's see it. Okay, so this is a binder. So you can replace the pages.
No. No, I don't need to replace the pages.
Because what? Is it erasable?
Yes. It's an erasable notebook.
Show me.
Look, can you see I scribble and then just rub my pen out? And you can do it with a wet cloth.
Nice.
You can do it with a hairdryer.
What?
Yeah, the heat makes the ink finish.
So it's like a vanishing ink thing. That's cool.
It is because
Go ahead.
I get really annoyed with notebooks because I don't write in them to go back to them. I write in them to get thoughts out of my head.
Yeah.
And then once I've done it, I don't need to go back to it. So,
Uh-huh.
but I kind of think, oh, I should keep this in case there isn't. There's like 100 pages of scribbling and circles. I'm always doing circles when I'm doing stuff. But I keep them just in case.
Sure.
And it makes me cross with myself. So why are you doing this? You're not, but you like to throw stuff out. But this is great because I just do it and then I just erase the page. So I love it. It's actually meant to be. I got a Rocket book for my wife. A Rocket book's like this, but it's bigger, and you take a picture of it, and it automatically uploads.
Oh, okay, I've heard of those. Yeah.
Yeah, and it understands your handwriting,
and turns it into text. Yeah.
Yeah, and her desk is like she's very chaotic work process. She's an artist, so that's what she does. And she does lots of writing, and so her desk is like piled with bits of paper. And I thought, I get this for her. Yeah, she doesn't have to do that anymore because she can trace through them. It's properly traceable through, and she just hated it. I knew she would. I thought I'll try it and see, but no, she hated it. So it came to me, but it was too big for me because it was A4.
Yeah.
This is like a cheap one, and it does have an app that does all that stuff. But I don't care about that.
Yeah,
it's just
the fact that you can erase it. That's cool.
Yeah.
The cool writerly thing that I got recently was it's a notepad for the shower, and the paper is made out of it's either like a ceramic or a synthetic or something, and it just takes, you just use pencil on it, but it's completely waterproof. So you can write in the shower. I've done like notes under the water, just dripping and just like, oh yeah, I got to write that down. Cause I always have ideas in the shower.
Yeah. Water's great for ideas. I don't know why.
I don't know either. And also like, just like, standing around with not much else to do except let your brain wander. Right. So like, anyway, but I would forget those things all the time. And I was visiting another author friend last summer. I just stayed at her place on the drive down to go see my family. And in her shower, she had this waterproof notepad. And I was like, this is genius. Why don't I own one of these? And it took me a while, but I finally remembered to order one for myself like a week ago. And it came, and it's great. And it's just, you can just use pencil on it and it stays, and you can't. And then the pages are perforated, so you can tear them off and take them out of the shower if that's useful. And I love it.
Wow. What is it called? Shower pad.
Probably something like that. I can email it to you. I can't. I'd have to like go to my shower now.
I'm not going to get one. I don't need more pads. That's the whole point.
You don't. And
no more pads. No, one pad.
Right.
And then
but it's a brilliant thing to have. And a lot of I know a lot of authors who are who have ideas in the shower and forget them. Like that's my thing too, is because it's basically as soon as I get out of the shower, I'm distracted by finding clothes or helping my kid or whatever, and then gone.
There's a whole thing about doors. Do you know that thing?
Yes, I've read that.
Really weird. Yeah. It's giving your mind permission to leave.
Your brain
stuff
is like, yeah, no, that's back in the other room. You forgot.
Yeah. But then you go back in the room and it's not there, and your brain lied to you. You've forgotten it.
But sometimes it does come back, but with visual cues. But yeah, no. And my brain needs a lot of extra help. So I love that shower pad now. It's like, yes. Well, you need to get running, so I will. I do have a child waiting. Wrap us up. Okay. We have had mainly only Katie has chimed in to say anything. It was lovely to see you,
Hello,
Katie. Thanks for coming. We've had more people than that viewing at various points, but I think Katie's the only one who popped into the comments. Thank you so much to everyone who has come to view us. QuaranCon proper happens in just about a month and a week. April 7th to 11th. So everyone, please make sure that you come to that. And RJ, thank you so much for joining me with JR. It's delightful to talk to you both. Thank you, JR. I'm really looking forward to seeing you again at QuaranCon. I saw your name on there, so I'm hopeful that we'll get you into some stuff, and it's going to be fun as usual.
I'm glad you said that because I couldn't remember if I'd filled in the form.
I'm pretty sure you have. I'm pretty sure I saw you on there. If not,
but even if I haven't, you can still put me in.
Okay, great. We'll just throw you into stuff. No, I thought I remembered you say that you had, and then I thought I remembered I saw your name. But you know what? This is the third year now, and sometimes it all runs together. So maybe I think you did. Anyway.
I think I have, but that means
Okay.
nothing.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure between the two of us, if you
Yeah.
think you have, and I
Yeah.
think I saw your name, chances are good you
Yeah.
actually have filled it
Okay.
out. All right. Thank you so much. It was lovely
Yeah.
to speak to you as ever.
Yeah. See you soon.
And yeah, take care. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
I have to hit in stream. There we go. Yes. Okay.